What's up, guys? Today I got must-play RPGs on Game Pass before the new onslaught of RPGs comes. We got some really good ones coming down. We got, you got Starfield coming in September. We got Atlas bringing Persona games as well as the fantasy one they're bringing. Bunch more besides between Fable and Obsidian's new Avowed and all these different ones coming. And so I just want to talk right now before those come out what there is that's really worth your time. And obviously this is my choices, so there's really great games besides. All right, so without further ado, here is a list of great RPGs on Game Pass that you can play right now. All right, first one is The Outer Worlds. Now this is from Obsidian. This is kind of their Fallout competitor. It's out in space. You get companions, which is probably one of the best parts of this game, right? Because you get different companions that you can delve into their stories as much as you want. And they're pretty in-depth. I think Obsidian's strong suit is their writing. And in this game, it's really on display. There are some really amazing moments that are just about the writing, and so The Outer Worlds, I think, just the story, the writing, really well written characters. It's a good time. The first person shooting is fine. It's not like amazing or anything, but it's good enough. It carries the story, and there's so many side stuff to do if you want, but you don't have to. If you beeline the main story, you can beat it in like 20 hours. If you do everything, it's much longer than that. So it's a really good time. And again, if you're a Fallout fan or a Bethesda fan, Obsidian makes these games that are kind of that way, but their own spin on it. So it's a good time. I highly recommend it. Next up, we got Fable 2. Now this is an OG one, right? So this isn't gonna have the top of the line graphics. And you can certainly play any of the Fables. They have the Anniversary Collect one from the first one, they have the second, they have the third. I enjoyed the third, but a lot of people actually didn't for whatever reason. I think the story kind of falls off as you go later in, but I still thought it was good. But the second one, I think, is most people's favorite. It's in, it's maybe been pushed out of my top 10, but it's among some of my favorite games I've ever played. And it's really worth your time. The stories are good. It's got good humor. The quests and the side quests and the choices that you make and all these things. How you build your character changes, how you look, and how people respond to you. And that's kind of what Fable is built on. Is that idea, right? Is how you build your person changes the way other people react. And I think they did a really good job of that. It's a good time. It's a great story, and highly recommend you play it if you haven't yet. Next up is a bit of a cheat, but it's 3-in-1, and that's the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And so that's 1 remastered, 2 and 3. 2 is still among my favorite games of all time. Mass Effect 2 is a masterclass, and so you definitely gotta play that. But since they have the whole trilogy here, you might as well, right? Because this is one of those expansive worlds where you play the first one, your choices and things that you do in the first impact the second, right? And so that will play out. And then your second game, choices you make, people you save, people you kill, changes things going into the third. And it is a great story. The first one I probably would beeline through. A lot of those side quests are pretty boring. Running around on the Mako car is fun at first, but it gets really old really quick. So, I don't know that I'd spend all my time on that. But you get to 2, I do everything. You get to 3, do everything. They are good games. They have good pacing. It's all good stuff. And again, it's all there, and you can just run 1 through 3. So, highly recommend that. Next up, we got Persona 5 Royal. Now, you can take your pick with Persona games. Already, they have 5 Royal, they have 4 Persona 4 Golden, and then Persona 3 Portable, right? 3 Portable is not the best version of that game, and with a remake on the way, I would just wait personally. But that's up to you. Maybe you're one who want to play the Portable first and then play the remake. That's a great option too, but I would probably skip that one. 4 Golden is a great game. The graphics aren't the best now, right? They don't hold up, but if you're really into JRPGs, that usually doesn't matter that much, right? But Persona 5 is my personal favorite. Royal is by far the best version of that game, and it's just so good. I have a whole story of Persona 5 and what my experience with it, and I'll get to that one of these days. But while we're waiting for that, Persona 5 Royal is just a really great game. It's one of my top 10 of all time, which is another video I'll need to make, huh? So we'll get to that too. But yeah, I can't recommend that one enough. Good story, good characters, gameplay's great. It is a masterclass of a game. It's really, really good. So definitely recommend you play that. After that, I'm Dragon Age Origins. Now again, you can kind of take your pick. You have Dragon Age Origins, you have Dragon Age 2, and then Inquisition. 2 is not my favorite. I don't think it's that great, but the combat's good. I like Inquisition, and in some ways it's probably a better game. But they really level get you hard as you get towards the end, and I hate that. And so I loved that game up to that point, and then I hard quit. Origins does a better job, I think. The combat is a little less fluid, but the story is really good, really good. The character relationships you can make, the build for your character, really good stuff. Again, because it's older, the visuals aren't going to hold up as well, but I don't think it's terrible. It doesn't pull that far away from it. And yeah, so Dragon Age Origins I think is really worth giving a go, especially with the new Dragon Age in the works. Maybe you play this one, and I mean maybe even 2 and Inquisition. You can play through all 3, and you kind of get all of the story before the next one comes up. So that could be a good idea too. But yeah, Origins would be my pick. All right, next up we got Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. Now this is a pretty new one. Okay, this one just came out in, I believe, March of this year, 2023. And this is that Souls-like from Team Ninja, who also do Neo. And it's way more similar to Neo, right? It's faster, and the loot game is more like that than Dark Souls. Okay, so you get a lot of loot, so you're rapidly changing, upgrading, whatever. But they have a unique upgrade system that leads to your magic and abilities. There's kind of unique scores in this way. Like in each area, you kind of build up like almost like a rep or renown, and the higher that is, the more magic you can use. It's a really interesting system, but it is a fun game. The parry is a huge part of this game, and it's so fun. Like the window is fairly generous, so it's not Sekiro where you're gonna miss it all the time, but it still feels really satisfying. And man, the combat is just so good. The builds are fun. The lots of weapon choices, all really viable depending on the build you're going for, and just really good stuff. I haven't played through all of it just because there's so many games to play, but every bit that I've played, I have really enjoyed, and so I highly recommend it. The very beginning is probably the toughest part, and so you might have to soldier through that. Just don't forget to use your big special that they try to teach you in the first boss fight, and you'll be fine. But yeah, highly recommend Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. All right, next up, we're gonna change pace a little bit to a pixel art, and that's Chained Echoes. Now, if you're interested in this, I have a full review on the channel. I'll link that in the description below, so make sure you check that out if you're interested. But Chained Echoes is an indie developer by one guy primarily. And oh dude, this game is a masterpiece. It is one of the few 10 out of 10s for me. The story is tremendous. The battle system is amazing. The music is top of the line. Character builds, the world building, all of it. It is such a good game. I cannot recommend this one enough, especially if you're fans of old school RPGs like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, or those old Square games back when they were Squaresoft, that kind of stuff. It is so good. I don't know what else I can say. Go watch the review, check it out. But it's on Game Pass. It's cheap to buy it. I mean, however you're gonna do it, play that game. But as long as you have Game Pass, play it there. Great, great deal. Next up, we got Pillars of Eternity 2. Now, this is another Obsidian game, and I already talked about their strength, right? Of their strength. And their strength is their writing. I mean, it's just the truth. Their writing is good, and Pillars of Eternity 2 is no exception. Now, I haven't done all this game, but in all that I've researched and everyone who's played it, that's the deal, right? This is like an old school CRPG. It's Baldur's Gate. I mean, it's that style of game. And so if you don't like that style, don't bother, right? No matter how good the writing, it might not be your deal. But if you like that, or can at least kind of deal with that gameplay, high recommendation. right? This game has a huge, expansive world and story and character building, and you know, your build for your person and your party. You put your, you know, the different people you have a choice. You get a ship and you captain that and you go to different lands, and just really tremendous game there with a ton to offer, tons of replayability for different classes and things. Yeah, just really, and a lot of hours too. And so yeah, just a really good option for an RPG off of Game Pass right now. Yeah, so give that one a go if you're interested. Next up, we're talking No Kuni 2. Now, this is really lighthearted, especially compared to most of the games on this list. No Kuni 2 is that Studio Ghibli art style. It's very colorful, very vibrant. Your characters look younger, which, if I'm honest, put me off just a little bit. The game is good. Some people I know, they didn't like it as much as the first one. I don't have experience with the first one, and so I don't have that comparison. But what I do have is I beat the whole game. Now, there's a city builder part, and that part's pretty mediocre, if I'm honest. There's parts, it was kind of enjoyable at first, and then it kind of got tiresome. But really, you can kind of, if you just play the rest of the game, you do side stuff, like you can just kind of jam through that. You don't have to spend a lot of time there. But the story is pretty good. The characters are built well. There's some of it that's kind of slow. In these kind of games, I often recommend, if you can stomach it, you play it in Japanese with subtitles, and then you can just kind of read and mash through it. That speeds it up. I did it in English, and it was slow sometimes, just trying to get through dialogue. So I recommend the other way, but that's up to you. Either way though, the story's good and gameplay's pretty fun. The action combat is good. It's not the best out there, but it's totally serviceable. And there's some really fun things in there. So yeah, give that a shot if you're interested. You like that art style, you're looking for something that's a bit uplifting, or you know, maybe not so serious all the time. It's a really good one, so give that one a shot. All right, last up is an old goatee, right? And that's Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim is not the first to do what it did, but it is the one that most people tend to think of now. I still remember getting it the first time. My wife bought it for me for Christmas that year when it came out, and I have probably spent hundreds of hours in this game. I love Skyrim, I still do. I can still go play it now, and it holds up. The stories and the options that it gives you, the different ways you can play, man, it is so good. I love Skyrim, and if you haven't played it already, first off, it's kind of shocking, but then you have this massive world with tons of stories to do, and yeah, it is a good time. So make sure you check that one out if somehow you haven't. And if you have, then you know it's good. And if you have Game Pass, you can just hop on again. So that's always good. All right, well, so there you go, guys. Obviously, there's more RPGs on Game Pass, and there's plenty of good ones. But looking it over, these are 13 different ones that I think are really worth spending some time on before we get the onslaught of new RPGs. I'm really stoked to give Starfield a go, and I'm hoping it's going to be great. So that will add to it. We'll have to do another one of these in maybe like 6 months to a year as Xbox drops more and more of their stuff and Atlas games come on here and all that. But for now, I recommend these. And let me know if you have different options, different choices you think are really worth the time. Put them in the comments below. Let people know about them. So hopefully we can kind of share the love, and everyone can get a chance to play some really good games on there. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. It means a lot to me. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you're new around here, think about subscribing. But we got videos coming out. I got ideas coming out. If you like this kind of content, subscribe and be here. All right? Thanks for watching again. I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.